All right, Robert, it's Michael. I got the record button on, so let's jump right on in here. So I got an email from you the other day, and it says you're enjoying the first 2 sessions of training, and then you have a couple of questions. You say you're struggling with getting suspects to respond to your voicemails and emails. And I'm just going to read here verbatim. It says, I feel like I'm incorporating the tips that you have taught us. Obviously, I'm neglecting something. I'd be happy to forward you a sample of email if it would make sense. Okay, so the first question I have for you is this. It says you're struggling with getting suspects to respond to your voicemails and emails. So first things first is, who's your target audience?
Yeah, so just a quick background. The company I work for, JMark, we're a managed service provider. So we're an outsourced IT service and support. So typically our 4 core businesses are banking, healthcare, hospitality, and professional services, i.e. CPAs, law firms, okay? We start at the CEO, president, CFO level. And 9 times out of 10, the CFO manages the IT budget. We have found, for what we're selling, that's usually the decision maker. So that's where we start. We typically get pushed down from the CFO like, oh, Robert, you need to talk to Bill in IT. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. The problem with that, Michael, is that IT person feels threatened by us.
Yeah, I already know the problem. I already know the problem. I've been in IT sales for a long time. I already know that these guys are going to feel threatened, or they don't want extra work put on their plate. They're going to be resistant the whole 9 yards. Okay, so let's back up for a second. So you know your industries, right? You named off several industries. Okay, you also know the name of the person you normally need to get the conversation started with, which is your CFO, correct? Okay. So now we haven't fully developed who our ideal target is. We have an industry, we have a title to start with, but we still have to go a little bit deeper. So let me ask you this: what size of the company? Because here's the thing: the CFO of Cisco is going to be a lot different than the CFO of Joe Blow's aluminum siding, right?
No doubt.
The thing is this: I know that this is, and I'm not saying you make this yet. I'm just doing this for anybody that listens to this recording in the future. A lot of times, one of the biggest problems salespeople have is they go wide and not deep. And meaning, so you really have to know who is your sweet spot. The last thing you want to do is go, we can really sell to everybody. Okay, technically that might be true, but not everybody's going to be a hot prospect. If I'm in a fishing tournament, I want to go where most of the large fish are going to, or the fish that are going to help me win are going to be biting, right? So I want to go to that spot. So I have to know that. So with that being said, sales is a lot like that. So with that being said, what I heard so far is your several different industries. I would make sure you rank them in the top 10, like, from 1 to 10, like who buys from you the most, right? Like for me, like if somebody's in the computer software side, that's like my number 1, then it just keeps straight on going down the list for industries that use my service. And I've known this for every industry I've ever worked in before. So I would do that. And then the CFO, absolutely. The CFO might not be the ultimate decision maker. They could be, depending on that company's particular purchasing process, right? Some companies, the CFO will make the entire decision. Sometimes they have to get somebody else. They're part of the decision making, and sometimes they might not have any of it. But we at least know we can start with the CFO and get them involved. And then once we get them on the hook, then we can go ahead and find out who else needs to be involved and bring them in. So I like that so far. So now the next step is this, is what company size, location, so employee size, annual revenue, location. Do you know what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, we call that our target client profile, and it's based on end users. So anyone who sits in front of a computer on a daily basis for 8 hours, it's not based on total number of employees, but it's on end users. So that end user is anywhere from 25 up to 250, and that revenue range can be 2 million to 250 million.
Okay, so what I would do is this: I would look at whoever your top 10 accounts are, or top 20 or top 100 accounts are in the the company that they're already paying you. They're already using it. They're repeat customers, things of that nature. I would, and first of all, there's a tool out there that you could use that could analyze that and get that information for you in a matter of minutes. But it's kind of expensive. But if you don't have that, I would hire an intern. I'd pay them out of my own pocket, whatever it took to say, here's our best accounts. I need you to go here, and I want to know how many employees do they have. on there, what's your annual revenue, what location, and then make that spreadsheet out. Because what you're going to see, you have 25 to 250, but you might notice that, hey, companies in this industry, they average about 100 employees. Okay, that's our sweet spot, or they average this amount of annual revenue. So you really want to get that down first. It sounds like you guys are doing a good job. I would just, try to dig a little bit deeper. But the good news is this. We know that from 25 to 250 employees, that's a real good sweet spot for us, right? And we know that the 250 employees might not all 100% of them be end users, but we know at least 25 of them are going to be, and that meets our minimum, right? So that's a fair say between 25 and the 250 employees. It's a CFO, the industry, and location, I'm assuming, is U.S.?
Yes. Yeah, it's primarily we're headquartered in Missouri, but we have an office in Oklahoma and Arkansas. So you look at that little footprint there of the 3 states. But our business, Michael, kind of spreads nationally because we have hotel chains they've got 70 locations. They're in Portland, Oregon, and Florida, and Wisconsin, and all over the place. But our sweet spot is that center of the United States, those 3 states, and the contiguous states around them. So that's kind of where we are.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So once you narrow that down, so now let me ask you this: so give me I know you mentioned a bunch of industries. So give me your top 3 that you think are if you had to, take a guess before looking at your intel, what would you say the number 1 industry that buys from you the most is, followed by number 2 and number 3?
Banking.
Banking is
healthcare.
1. Okay, good. Healthcare.
Yeah, as you know, anything that's regulated and
right.
a lot of compliance, that falls right in line with what we do. So banking, healthcare, and then I'd say professional services. So that's law firms, CPAs. You might even throw manufacturing in there. It's a little broad, but that's
right.
Those
law firms. Okay.
Top 3. Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. So when it comes to the banking, interesting. I think all banking's private, right? So it's not like public and private. So you have banking there. All right. So how many locations does a bank normally have to have? Do you notice that your top, since banking's your number 1, do you notice that it's just a single and small little branch, or they have multiple branches? What can you tell me about that?
Yeah. Usually 3 to 8 branches, and anything that has a total asset size of $1 billion, they're too big for us. So I'd say asset size, I'd say 100 to 700 million in assets. So we've got our banking vertical very clearly defined.
Perfect. So here's the thing, and for everybody that's going to listen to this in the future, I mean, you'd be surprised at how many salespeople that contact and go, hey, I'm trying to get callbacks, nobody's responding to me, and I ask these basic questions, and they have no freaking clue. They just go, we can help everybody, right? And that's part of the problem. So here's the thing. So what I like is this: if it's a banking, and then that they have 3 to 8 branches, but $100 million in assets or higher, as long as it's not the 1 billion mark, and that's a good thing to know too. Sometimes these companies are just too big. I mean, it takes too long to go after them. It's not your sweet spot. So they've got
an IT department of 15 people. Well, there's no place for us to play. So
yeah, exactly. All right. So now the prospecting list that you have. So if I said, okay, how many would you pull up a list or a profile list of all your banking leads that are in the U.S. that are $100 million in assets, or more than 100 million, under $1 billion? Would you be able to? How long would it take you to create that kind of list?
Weeks, months, probably.
Wow, in your data.
For me to take it on. Now we have consultants that we buy lists from and that kind of thing. So
let me clarify. So you're using a CRM, right?
Yes.
Okay. So where you have all these leads. So the leads you're calling, where are you getting that information from? How is it getting into your CRM?
Yeah, our chief strategy officer goes out and buys lists, and he puts these parameters around, what it is that we're looking for, our target client profile, and then we buy lists, and then like on the banking thing, we're a member of, say, the Oklahoma Bankers Association, so we get the directory of all the banks in Oklahoma, and as we do in Arkansas and Missouri. So our lists come from just kind of organically grown through calling people, and then our chief strategy officer, will supply these lists, through, different consultants that he knows that, you know, they're list people.
Got
if
it.
you will.
So how? But so there, you have them in the CRM though, right? So you should be able to go in there and create a filter and go, okay, show me all the banks in the United States that have $100 million in assets or more, but under $1 billion, and it should take seconds, right? I mean, do you guys have that capability in your CRM?
Yeah, I'm sure we probably do, but I haven't
Which
done
CRM
anything
are you
that.
using?
We use two, a company called or a tool called Infusionsoft,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then ConnectWise.
Jeepers. Okay. Yeah. I mean, any CRM worth its salt should be able to go, okay, I need to pull a lead list. And if you have those parameters in there, if not, I mean, listen, there's a company out there called Datanize. Like I said, it's I'm not plugging them because I don't get any kickbacks from them, but you could actually, they'll analyze, as long as you have the URLs or like the email addresses of the leads that are in there, it'll actually analyze. And within, depending on how large your database, within the first 24 hours, it'll actually spit out, and usually it's within the first couple of hours you connect it to your CRM.
Yeah.
It will populate all the information for you on, you know, what the employee size, annual revenue, location, industry, the whole 9 yards, and it's fairly accurate. I mean, nothing's 100%. And then what I do is I come in, I'm just able to pull up a list on, okay, I know that I want to see all the leads that have recently visited my website in 24 hours and match this criteria, and then boom, they pull it up, and now I'm picking up the phone and calling them, right? So you should really be able to do that.
Data knife, like fork and knife?
Data Nice. Yeah, no, it's Data Nice. Let me put it in the chat box for you. So it's Datanyze, right? And again,
Datanyze. Okay.
Yeah,
Got
yeah,
it.
yeah. And there's some other ones out there. Like I said, I don't get any kickbacks from them. I personally use them. I pay for it. So that's what it is. But I mean, it's really important for salespeople. I mean, because here's the thing: this whole session that we're trying to accomplish here is you contacting me, going, "Hey, you know, I'm really enjoying the course. Just got started with the course. We're 2 weeks in. I like what I'm hearing, but I'm not getting many callbacks yet, and I want to get that fixed, right?" And so now we have to start with the. You know, I need to go to the ground floor and see where you are with these things, right? Because the reason why we're going to get to that in a second is how you're going to see how this all ties into getting more callbacks. You have to know who your target audience is. Now, now that we have and you have to be able to pull that list together, that would be great. Now the next thing is what we didn't ask is this: why should they care about you? Like, what problems do they have to have that you solve?
Right. Well, one is what we're finding is a lot of these banks, healthcare companies, whatever, they settle for a mediocre IT experience. So in other words, they could be at risk. They could have a faulty backup solution. But if it kind of works and they can get by and they pass these audits and all that stuff, they're happy. So what we try to do is we automatically. Go ahead.
I don't want to cut you off, but here's the thing. I can already tell now why we're not getting callbacks, okay? We have to have a solid what's in it for them. We have to know what the most common pain points are going to be that a prospect is going to have in order for them to be interested in hearing, in order for us to grab their attention. Okay? That has to be, you know, and like, in other words, you have to, if you ask me, well, what pain points do you solve for my audience, I'm going to be able to go, it's really simple. We help outbound sales teams overcome call reluctance. You know, and that's going to resonate with a sales director. They're going to be like, oh, I got 20 sales reps, and about half of them don't want to pick up the phone, but how do you solve that? And now we're in a conversation, right? So you need to be able to really pinpoint what the pain point is. And listen, I know every prospect might have of different pain point, things of that nature, but I really think a lot of, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but again, I'm thinking of people that might listen to this later on, is that a lot of salespeople have an excuse, well, you know, they could have this problem with this problem. We solve so many things. You need to know how to pick your zebra out of the herd. If you know you help specialize in banking with $100 million in assets, that have 3 to 8 branches, you know, if you go back to the list of all those clients that match that criteria that are now paying you, they left whatever solution they were doing before, or they added you on to help them out, you need to know what were the top 2 or 3 problems that they were having that made them want to go ahead and say yes, and you'll start to see a pattern. I guarantee if you have 10 of those accounts, they didn't have 10 different reasons. You're going to start to see there might be 3 on one and then 2 or 3 on another, right? But that's really what we have to focus on. So with that being said, let's take a look. I have this up here on the screen if you can see it. Let's pull this up here. Okay, this is the follow script for a live sales call. So let me just make sure I'm clarifying. So are you calling them first and voicemail and then email second? So you call
Yes.
first, if you get voicemail, you leave voicemail, then you get voicemail, you leave email. Perfect. Okay.
Correct.
So this is if you get if you get them on the phone, this first one here, or is this
Yeah,
if you
this is a live call.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he is. You get them on the phone. You go, hi. The reason for my call is your company name is a technology company. Right off the bat, they don't care. They don't care you're a technology company. We specialize in offering more protective IT management solutions. Again, don't care. This is why we're not getting callbacks or people wanting to have your conversation. Don't worry, we're going to fix this, but I'm pointing these things out, which results in higher staff efficiency and an improved bottom line. Again, it's just too vague. If this is a convenient time, I'd like to ask you a few questions, see if we had to offer maybe some help to. Would that be okay? That part's perfect, but the reason why we're failing is we're not piquing their interest first. So you're gaining permission. You're trying to go to gain permission, but it's going to fail when we don't pique interest first. Right? So let's break this down right here. And again, you say this background. This is more for my industry, my information, right? This is you don't or you don't say this to that person, do you? Or do you?
I don't what?
This where it says background right here on the screen.
Well, yeah, and my role is has shifted a little bit differently. So my outbound call it's a little bit different because we're embarking on this email marketing campaign. So I'm actually calling people who are actually opening emails from us. And I'm not sure when I call, hey Michael, this is Robert with JMark. I see that you've opened our emails. I don't think
No, you don't want to
do that.
Okay. No, I'm going to show you what to do there. And that's fine. Listen, with the marketing automation, everybody hopefully should be doing marketing automation, but you still have to treat it like a cold call, and there's a proper way to do it. But we're still messing up in the beginning here. So let's break this down. You talk about, first of all, does it make sense I say they don't care that you're a technology company? You call them out of the blue, even if they were on your website looking around, and you say the reason for my call is we're a technology company. I'm already bored to tears. You know, you have 3 seconds to capture their attention. I'm not trying to be hard. I'm just being real, right?
No, I know.
Okay, good. All right, good. So at that point is instead of we want to take this out, right? I like the introduction. Hey, the reason for my call. Who you are. They need to know who you are and what company you're with. Hey, John, this is Michael Padone with XYZ company. Listen, the reason for my call. And now, if you want to say we specialize in, okay, we specialize. What I would probably say is I specialize in helping banking. So what would be the right terminology to address their organization? So it's going to be, it might just be banks, right? So the reason for my call, we specialize in helping banks with $100 million in assets or more lower, right? Now lower, avoid, whatever. So right out of the gate, see, instead of saying we're a technology company, which they don't care about, hey, John, it's Michael Padone with XYZ company. Listen, the reason for my call, we specialize in helping banks with $100 million in assets or more. Right then and there, since they have $100 million in assets or more, you have their attention you just bought 3 seconds of their attention, and that's all I needed to do. What I would probably do is if I'm calling the CFO and I know I need to start the conversation there, hey, John, this is Michael Padone with XYZ company. Listen, the reason for my call, we specialize in helping CFOs of banks with $100 million in assets or more, and then, so once I have their attention, now we have to get to the next part. Does that make sense so far?
Yep.
Okay. So with that being said, so instead of saying proactive IT management solutions, forget about that. What are the top 3 problems that they would want a proactive solution for? That's what we have to, that's what we have to address. It's what you're protecting. We don't want to offer the solution up front. We want to offer the problem up front. Because they're going to have that fear or that problem. Listen, we can also, some people in my industry like to paint the rosy picture and come with the positive sign, but more people take action to avoid something rather than to get something, right? Does that make sense? I mean, so I'd like to do it that way myself. I don't mind putting a positive on the end. So it could be the reason for my call, we specialize in helping CFOs of banks with $100 million in assets or more. Lower, reduce, whatever, and at the same time gain this. And if I caught you at a good time, I'd like to ask you a few questions just to see if we have to offer maybe some help to you. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, yeah, I got a second, sure, go ahead. So you piqued yours is just enough, and now bam, you're in there. Now, since you've only gone through 2 weeks, You haven't learned, okay, what to do now that I get them on the phone, right? That's a whole new ball game. We're going to be covering that this week in the third week.
Yeah.
But we to get to that point, and I'm really glad that you sent this to me, Craig, because you would have just kept on struggling. We need to fix the opening value statement to where you get rid of the words that don't matter, you get right to what does matter. It's going to be in 3-second increments of attention spans. Your first mini sale is right after, and we specialize in helping banks with $100 million in assets or more. That alone, you just bought. That's your first mini sale. You just bought yourself 3 seconds. Now you have to hit the pain point of what you solve, and then once that's done, then you gain permission to continue the call. You close it out with, and if I caught, I would get rid of it at the convenient time. And I would just say, and if I caught you at a good time, I'd like to ask you a few questions just to see if we have to offer maybe some help to you. Would that be okay? And if they go, it's not like, sometimes you're going to hear right away, yeah, actually, especially the type of leads that you're getting, they're going to be like, yeah, because they were just on your website or they just opened an email, earlier, right? So like, yeah, that's where I was on your website earlier. Like, okay, great. Well, listen, let me ask you this. And then you're going to be right into the qualifying thing, which again, we're going to cover in week 3 on what to ask after the opener, right? But we got to get to that point. But even if it's a cold call, if they're like, well, okay, sure, go ahead. I got a second. You're in. That's all you need to do. Now, let's also be prepared if they come back and they go, well, yeah, no, right now is really not a good time. Here's what I want you to say. Listen, John, I understand that you probably get calls like this all the time. I would not be calling you if I didn't think I might be able to help you solve, and then you put whatever that major pain point is, and then you go, but I would just need to ask you a few questions first to be sure. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
And then they're going to go, half the time they're going to go, okay, sure, I got a second, go ahead. But now here's the thing. You have to know exactly what question to ask next in your qualifying phase. And again, that's why it said at the end of week 2, week 3 is probably the most important one out of the 8-week program that we have, because once you start getting those conversations, you don't want to do the, what do I do now, right?
Right.
So you need to, otherwise you're going to lose their interest. So I'm going to show you exactly what to do, but that's how you need to get there, all right? With that being said, I do have another call I have to do, and we're about 2 minutes over, but I want to get to some of this else here. If you fix this right here, the way we just talked about, and then that's going to, if you get voicemail, it's going to be the same thing. Hey, John, it's Michael Padone with XYZ Company. Listen, the reason for my call, we specialize in helping banks with $100 million in assets or more. Notice how I slowed that down, and I had those pauses, and I emphasized. It's almost as if it was on paper. I had it bolded. Right? This is how you make it sound real, but you're emphasizing it, and I do that on voicemail. We specialize in helping banks with $100 million in assets or more solve, avoid, reduce, cut, whatever it is, and then put that what's in it for them. And then I would finish it with, and there's a possibility I may be able to help you too. I would just need to ask you a few questions first to be sure. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm about to send you an email. If you like what you read, you can respond to the email, or you can give me a call and then you leave your name and number twice. And that's that. And now when they get your voicemail, they can't wait to see your email. They see your email, say the same thing in email. I just left you a voicemail regarding how we help banks with $100 million in assets or more solve XYZ. There's a possibility I could do the same for you. I just need to ask you a few quick questions first. To avoid playing phone tag, please pick a date and time that works best with you here and have a link to your online calendar. And you're going to see your appointments go up by 25%. And they book the call with you, and then away you go. Cool?
Okay. Very cool. One other quick question before you got to run. What's your thought on subject lines on emails? If you're reaching out to somebody.
Voicemail. If I just left them a voicemail, my subject line is voicemail. That's it. One word. Voicemail.
But if you're not following up on a voicemail and you want to send a suspect an email of introduction or would you not even recommend doing that?
Yeah, I don't do that. That's our, listen, it's our lazy way of doing it. We can send mass emails that way. 20% of them are going to go to spam anyway. When you send them in a mass, it's going to recognize it as a spam thing. And it's just, we're looking for a shortcut that's just, there's research after research that shows if you call, leave a voicemail, send an email, you're going to get better ROI. I'd rather have, 30 banks that fit my criteria and call them over and over and over again rather than try to mass blast a bunch of them and hoping that one just reaches out to me, through an email. So that's what I would do. So I would call first, leave voicemail on that. And if you have to do something else, if you do have to send an email or whatever, put the pain point in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Question about call reluctance. or concerned about
Right.
call reluctance, right? You know, for me, that's what it is. You know, something along those lines. You know, or next month's quota. Like I'm giving you stuff that I would do in my scenario, so I'm just giving you like little tips on what you might want to do. Something that's going to agitate a pain, scratch an itch, because the subject line is just there to get. It's like a headline on a newspaper. You just got to get them to open it up, and then hopefully your first sentence has to engage with them to focus them on a problem area, and then human psychology is once somebody recognizes a problem, they want to know how to solve it, and so now you can get a conversation going. Cool.
Fantastic. Hey, I appreciate you. The quick tutorial, I really do. Right in the middle of your lunch hour, on top of everything.
Yeah, no worries. I love doing this for you guys. I'm more than happy to help. I'll send you out the recording. I'm probably going to put this on our YouTube page for other people as well. So you'll be able to watch it there over and over again. Feel free to share it, and then let me know what the results are for you.
Okay, and we'll talk to you on Thursday.
All right. Yep, you bet. Take care now. All right, take care. All right, bye-bye.
Yep, bye-bye.